So what are some of the lessons from interviews? These are quite simple, but for anyone out there that's ever hosted a podcast or run a panel at a conference, you'll know what I'm talking about. So always keep a question up your sleeve. No awkward silence. That's the fear, right? Oh my God, this is so awkward. I've got nothing to talk about with this person. So just keep a question in mind. Someone will mention a word or a place or a thing as they're talking, and just bank it. Like, that's a good one to come back to. And just have it on mind. And when something slowly peters out, you can then bring that back in. Or you keep it super simple with prompt words like, why do you think that? So lesson number 2 from this section, it helps when you know who you're talking to. So of course, like when you get a guest turn up on your podcast, listen to other episodes they've been on. Go and read their book. Have a look at their website. What social media have they put out? Like, if you haven't done that initial phase of research, like, why have you got them on as a guest? More often than not, I would have seen people creating interesting content around subjects that I care about. I'm like, they'd be a brilliant podcast guest. I'd love to get them on. So I already know lots about them, and I've got tons of things I want to ask. But when you've done the research, it's clear that you care about who they are and their journey. And that energetic exchange is very important to high quality conversation. So next up, so I enjoy learning from actual experience. So what decisions did they make? Why? And what did they learn? And that also applies to myself, right? I will try and post content like, I did this thing and here's what was interesting. Next, so get people talking about what they find interesting. So contrary to other podcast hosts, I try to keep things as organic as possible and as natural as possible. And the more that a guest talks about things they're passionate about, the higher the quality of the conversation, and the easier it is for me to orchestrate a better overall experience for not just the audience, but also myself. And the best question I've come across for that, and I've changed the way that I start interviews loads over the years, but now I just love asking this one: what's the most exciting thing you're working on right now? And that just opens up the most amazing conversations. Next up, you must be a good listener. Now, for someone that likes talking and communicating with people, chatting away, this isn't something that comes naturally to me. To stop, Jake, stop and listen. So try to never interrupt your guest. And this is actually some feedback that I got from Pat years ago now, and we've been really working on this. Like, don't talk over them, right? Just it's about teeing them up to feel completely comfortable, calm, collected, and open. You get stories out of people that not only do they tell well, they feel ultra comfortable sharing, but it might be something that they haven't shared before because of the environment and the space you create for them. And I love that process, right? So be a good listener. Next up, it's not about the digital footprint of the guest. Now, this is something I'm really keen on. It's like I want to know people's real life stories and the problem solving process they went through that I can potentially leverage for my own decision making. I don't care if you're not even online, right? In some ways, I prefer it if you're not. I might meet you on the street and you tell me this awesome story. And I'm like, I'd love to get you on the podcast. Would you join? And there's some more about this later down the episode, but to me that was cool. Like, I don't care about how big your digital footprint is. I'm not inviting you on because your audience is large. Next up, being open to their questions is fun. This is not just one-way traffic. And I had a couple of interviews where this would happen, where it's like, Jake, can I ask you about something? And like, sure, go for it. Now, obviously temper that with, don't completely kind of like, run away with the conversation, spend an hour-long episode talking just about yourself for 45 minutes. But that's cool. It's interactive, right? Next, organic is best, period. So I kind of lightly glossed over this, but it's a specific point of itself. It's 100% a lesson. Like, overcomplicating things with a big plan. It's like, this is all the stuff we're going to go through. It's unhelpful in my opinion. So you want to have a rough idea of what you want to talk about, but use those points to orchestrate the conversation. Okay, last 2 lessons from this section about guest dynamics. So some guests are hard work. They are a dud. Like the conversations just aren't great. Try to relax on your way through them, but sometimes it just doesn't click. And that's okay. Just get on to the next one. Don't take it to heart. It's not a big deal. Just like in the playground 20 years ago, you're just not friends with some people. And for whatever reason, now that the more work I've done around energetics, for example, I realize it's to do with vibration and people just operating at a different level. And in this case, you might get a podcast guest on that was recommended to you by someone, and just they give you one-word answers. There's nothing really sparky happening there. It's like, this is crap. And, the episode's unlikely to perform, but whatever. Don't worry about it. Move on. Now, the final lesson 10 from this: do not be afraid to ask the hard questions. Now, two topics that I've got written down in my notes here. One around the Holocaust, an episode I did with Ben Verman. Like, so many big questions there that trigger the shit out of even myself. But let's ask those, right? We have to be able to debate. We have to be able to have discussion about things that scare us or may not be true, or are, for whatever reason, you can't say that. Why not? Let's talk about it. And the other was circumcision. Shout out to Nathan Smith in the episode we did. What a difficult subject to be covering for people with such a private connection with such a, what actually is like an extraordinarily brutal thing. So do not be afraid to ask the hard questions. And I'm always saying that to myself, come on, Jake, don't be afraid.